Hey guys, what's up? So we have some new cards that are coming to Yu-Gi-Oh! And these are support from archetypes that have been within the Arc 5 anime. The first card is Flower Guardian Cherry Blossom. This is a level 3 Dark Warrior effect monster with 100 attack and 100 defense. Its effects are, if you control a level 2 or lower Flower Guardian monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot normal or special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except Flower Guardian monsters. And 2, once per turn, you contribute 1 Flower Guardian monster, draw 1 card, and if you do, show it. Then, if it is a Flower Guardian monster, you can take 1 Flower Guardian monster from your deck, except Flower Guardian Cherry Blossom, and either add it to your hand, or special summon it, otherwise send it to the graveyard. Now, the Flower Guardians in the anime were used by a prison boss whose name was Chojuro, who ended up helping support yugioh Sakaki and his friends in escaping the prison. These cards are quite unusual because what they do is their effects are basically to treat themselves as level 2 monsters to summon into the synchro monsters. However, they're not that reliable. Some of them can't be summoned without having these lower level monsters, and there aren't that many of them. The deck is quite inconsistent in some respect, so I don't actually see this support as that good. Although saying that, this is a level 3, so it can be normal summoned quite easily. The second effect is quite decent because you're able to go into some of your higher level Flower Guardian monsters, making your life a little bit easier, but then again there aren't that many lower level monsters to use at the moment, so we'll need to see further support before this has any relevance. The next card is Super All In. This is a normal spell card which says return 1 synchro monster you control to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon 4 Flower Guardian monsters from your graveyard, then draw 1 card from your deck, and if you do, reveal it. Then if it is a Flower Guardian monster, you can special summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions. Otherwise, destroy as many monsters you control as possible, and if you do, half your life points. The second effect is, once per turn during the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, once it was sent there by a Flower Guardian monster's effect this turn, you can add 1 spell or trap card from your graveyard to your hand. Now, the first effect lets you exchange your synchro monster to bring out Guardian monsters, so you can always go into another synchro summon if you want. However, it's a bit of a gamble. If you draw a card which isn't a Flower Guardian, you lose all your monsters and you lose half your life points. It's not necessarily worth the gamble. And the second effect is a graveyard effect. It's just a searcher for one of your spell or traps, which is okay, but it's not really worth running this card. As it says, the title is Super All In. So if you're going for game and you can stack your deck in such a way that you can guarantee a Flower Guardian, that's not a problem. But if you can't, chances are you're gonna, knowing your luck, you're probably gonna draw into a spell or trap or a monster that isn't a Flower Guardian, and then have the downside of this effect. The next card is Glacial Beast Blizzard Wolf. This is a level 4 Water Aqua effect monster with 1400 attack and 700 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn each. 1. When a monster declares an attack, you can negate that attack, and if you do, special summon 1 level 4 or lower water monster from your hand except Glacial Beast Blizzard Wolf. 2. At the start of your opponent's battle phase, if you control no monsters and this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card in attack position, but banish it if it leaves the field. So I think this is actually quite a decent card. It's not particularly powerful, however that 1 attack negate can be okay, or At the very worst, if your opponent is trying to go for game, it can actually keep you in the duel a bit longer. The second effect can also be used on the same turn, as this basically goes to the graveyard, provided you don't have any other monsters. So in a turn you could negate a couple of attacks and weaken a couple of attacks as well. So if your opponent has a full field and you don't have anything, this is always a way of surviving that much longer. The next card is Glacial Beast Polar Penguin. This is a level 3 Water Aqua Tuna effect monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense. You can only use one of the first and second effects of this card's name per turn, and only once that turn. 1, if this card is special summoned, you can target one monster your opponent controls and return it to the hand. 2, if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target one card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. So this card is actually quite is good as well for getting rid of your opponent's extra deck monsters. The first effect and the second effect work in tandem because chances are, since you can only use one of their effects in the turn, you're likely to, you'll summon this on your turn, but the likelihood is this could be destroyed on your opponent's turn, which means more than likely you'll get both effects off. So you're this is a little bit like a monster version of compulsory evacuation device. Even if it's not the greatest monster, having this kind of utility is okay. It reminds me also a little bit of Penguin Soldier. So the next card is Glacial Beast Iceberg Narwhal. This is the Synchro monster for the Glacial Beasts. It's a level 7 Water Aqua Synchro effect monster with 2700 attack and 1600 defense. And it requires 1 tuna and 1 or more non-tuna water monsters. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. 1, each time another monster you control is destroyed by battle with an opponent's attacking monster, or by an opponent's card effect, inflict 600 damage to your opponent. And 2, during the battle phase, when your opponent activates a card or effect while you control another monster as a quick effect, you can negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. So this card is quite decent for a level 7, 2700 attack. The first effect, your opponent isn't likely to go into any of your other monsters if they know this card's on the field, unless they don't have any other choice, if they don't have any stronger monsters than this. Otherwise, all it does is this effect makes itself a massive target, unless you can protect it some way. The second effect, again, if your opponent sees this card, it's going to make them target this card above anything else. Why would you want to activate an effect which will be negated, and then, of course, that card becomes destroyed, unless your opponent doesn't read this card or is completely unaware of the card. So, what do you think of these cards? Is this something you were expecting? Did this come a little bit out of the blue? And what further support can you see coming from Arc V? Potentially, we've still got some of the Earthbound Immortal supports that came from one of the villains in the series. You also have other cards out there, like Declan Akaba's younger brother. His cards didn't ever come out, and probably some other cards that I can't remember as of yet. Whatever you think, leave your comments down below, like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe.